Hello everybody. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded any videos, so forgive me. Don't forget about me. I haven't forgot about y'all. But today we're going to be learning how to crochet this cute basket weave hat and scarf set. Materials you're going to need are a way to keep up with your stitches, rows, rounds, etc. I'm using an I or 5.0 millimeter hook. You can use a smaller one or a larger one depending on the size you want. For this one, this is the same hook that I use because I have a small head, but you can go larger. Scissors and a way to sew it all in with your yarn needle. That's it. Oh, and for my yarn today, I choose to go with Red Heart Super Saver in Jumbo in the color of Royal or Real. And every bit of this will be used. That's why you definitely need a good jumbo size. And of course this is in worsted weight. So without further ado, let's get started. Now our first round is easy enough. We are going to make a slip knot, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to redo that because you want it to be a little loose, but not too loose. Enough to where you're going to be able to put 14 single crochets into there. So slip stitch into the very first chain that we made, pull that through, chain 1, and you already know we are going to do 14 single crochets into your ring. Now if you want to, you can always go with the magic circle, but obviously I am not doing that today. And I know my camera's bouncing all around. Trying. And I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker into the very first single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue until you have 14 single crochets into the middle. And tug on it a little. Tug your stitches all the way over so you're able to get in 14 single crochets without them being too tight. Now I have 10 stitches on here. I've got 4 more to go, but as you can see, I am just crocheting over that tail so I don't have to sew it in later. Now at the end of round 1, you're going to pull out your stitch marker and slip stitch that all nice together and chain 2. Round 2, we're going to double crochet into that same stitch. And double crochet into that same stitch once again. And into the next stitch we are also going to double crochet 2 into that same stitch. 1 and 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker back in. 1, 2, 3, 4. If it'll go in. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them off camera, but you're going to double crochet 2 into each stitch all the way around for a total of 28 double crochets. and I will be right back with our next round. Okay, now we're going to get into why do I need pencil and paper. It's coming. So usually I write down little tick marks for my rounds. This time I just put 2 little dots, and that will make sense later. But now on to round 3. And this time, instead of joining on our double crochet, we are going to slip stitch into the second chain on our chain where we made chain 2. You're going to go in there, grab that yarn over. It's tight, obviously. And slip stitch, if I can ever get it through, because I crochet tight. Okay. And chain 2. 1, 2. Now, pulling out our stitch marker. Round 3, we are going to do 2 double crochets in the first double crochet and in each round. So you're not going to chain into this where you made your chain. Usually I don't do this, but this will make sense later. So we are going to do 2 crochets, 2 double crochets into the first stitch. 1, 2, 1, 2. Replacing my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could put it in my chain, since that's what we're going to always join with, is that chain, and I hope you guys can see. But we're not going to go into the double crochet. We're going to join here. So I will meet you back for the next round, and just remember, at the end of this you should have a total of 56 double crochets, and I will meet you right back here at the stitch marker. Alright, I am now done with round 3, so I'm going to put another dot here, because again, it will make sense. Now for round 4, I'm going to get there, and our chain 2, slip stitch right into that. And of course, once again, I'm crocheting too tight. What else is new? And I'm going to try and do it a little bit looser now. Chain 2. So, ignoring this whole space, this whole post, pretend it's not there, and into our first double crochet into the front post, which is this whole thing. We are going to go around that front post, going right in the middle, and I kind of bend mine a little to make it go in there, and double crochet. And we're going to do the same thing in the next post. Front post, double crochet. And I know this looks really, really funny, wonky here, but obviously it will work out soon enough. So that's 2, and we're going to do 2 more. So 3 and 4. And this is where you definitely do not want to crochet too tight. And I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. That way, as I come around and I get there, I'll be going, oh, there's my chain 2 space. So moving along. 4 front post. Now we're going to do 4 back post double crochets. So yarn over and going into that back loop, or that back post, right on around. I know how frustrating this can be. I have issues just like anybody else whenever it comes to that's hard. But it does get easier as long as you keep your stitches loose. And there's 3 and 4. So 4 front, 4 back, and you're going to go 4 front, 4 back, all the way around until you get back to your stitch marker, unless you're living on the wild side and you're not using a stitch marker. But for me, I always do, because by the time I get around here, even though you have that chain to, sometimes I miss it and I don't see it. That's what happens when your eyes get older. So I will meet you back at my stitch marker. Okay, all the way around, 4 front, 4 back. So you should have a total of 56 stitches, and that is now where I'm going to start marking my rounds. So I've got 3 dots for the first 3, and now 4 is basically complete. So yeah, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5, you'll see. So, but this round, even though I'm 3 rounds in, 4 now I'm going to start counting this as round 1 done, and slip stitch into that chain 2 space and chain 2. Now for round 2, as I'm calling it, you're going to yarn over, and into those first 4 front post double crochets, you're going to do the same thing again. 1, 2, crocheting loosely, 3, and 4. And I'm trying not to get off camera here, so I'm sorry if I do. Replacing the stitch marker. And now going into our back loops where we did those back loops. Same thing again. Back loop only. Through the post. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to continue this all the way around, and whenever you get to the end of that round, you're going to do the same thing 2 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I will meet you back for round 5. So it's going to be slip stitch into that second chain, 4 in the front, 4 in the back, all the way around, and I will meet you back after I've completed my total of 4 rounds. Okay, round 4 is now complete. Back to the stitch marker. We're going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space and chain 2. Now, instead of going into our front post for this round, we're going to go into the back post of the front post, if that makes sense. So, back post, 1, 2, 3, and our magic number 4. It's always kind of difficult for me to go from front to back or back to front, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Magic number. Now into the next 4, we're going to front post into those stitches where we did the back post. So into the front, 1, and don't forget loose, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to continue this all the way around, back 4, front 4, back 4, front 4. Same as we did on here, just the opposite. And I will meet you back at the stitch marker after I've completed my next set of 4. Okay, now I'm back and I've completed those 4 rounds, so marking off 4. So now we have 2 sets of 4, and your hat, whoops, your hat should be looking somewhat like this. So now joining to our chain 2 space, trying here, join to our chain 2 space with the slip stitch, chain 2. Now we're going to double crochet around the 4 front posts only. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now back posts only. 1, and I got all kind of hooked up. No pun intended. Going around the back post. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to go ahead and find my place to put my stitch marker now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to continue that all the way around and do the same thing that you did in your first 4. All the way around 4 times, and then at the end of that you'll have another group of 4. So continuing along, doing the same pattern, starting with the front, and then the back, and then front, back, back and forth. At the end of this you should have 6 total groups of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For a total of 24 plus 25, 26, 27. That's why I put the 3 dots here instead of doing the tally marks, because you always want to keep everything in groups of 4. 4 is the magic number. For front, for 4 rounds, front, back, 4. Get it? So anyway, I will meet you back at this time the end of round 27 should be. Well, actually 25, 24, as long as you end on a 2, it'll be okay. 2 as in whenever you get to the end you should have at least 2 rounds of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to say back. Anyway, at the end, as long as you have 2 rounds of your post stitches at the end, I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to 4. So it'll end up on whether it's 4 front, 4 back. Because that. Okay, so what I ended up doing, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 4. Tried it on, realized this is long enough for me. So I cut my yarn and into our chain 2, I'm going to go ahead, slip stitch. I already cut my yarn, pull through. Load up my yarn needle finish off, which I will do that off camera. Now we're going to go ahead and jump on into our scarf. And I can't tell you how many rows we're going to end up doing because I'm going to finish the rest of my skinny yarn off. So, creating a slip knot and chain 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 21, 2, 3, 4. And we are going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And double crochet in each of the next stitches, and at the end of this row you will have a total of 22 double crochets. And I'm going to do this off camera, so I will be right back. Okay, I do realize your double crochet at the end, you should count, if you're counting your stitches, you'll 20, hey, where's 22? Your chain 3 counts as a double crochet also, so that will be 24. So at the end of that round, chain 2 and turn. Now, ignoring this post into your first double crochet that you actually did, you're going to work a front post. 1, and then 3 more front post. 2, 3, and 4. Oops. I keep getting further and closer and everything else with the camera, and I do apologize. I'm working in a very small space and my eyes are not as young as what they used to be. And in the next 4, we are going to double crochet back post only. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you continue this pattern 4 front, 4 back until you get to the end, and I will meet you there and we will continue for row 2. Okay, that's going to count as row 1. We're not finished with that, but I'm going to go ahead and mark 1 because we're going to do the same thing for the scarf as we did on the hat. So now your last one should end on a front post, double crochet, and then you got this little guy over here on the end, your chain 3. Now you're going to half double crochet into that top of the chain 3 space, if it'll cooperate with me. I'm trying to find it. But if you're doing like me and you end up going into the second chain, that's fine too. Well, it's not fine. Not for me, it's not. It's just this first row is a doozy all because of that one little chain. There. I'm happier with that now. And chain 2. And turn your work. Now, we're going to back post. Since we did front post starting, we're going to back post. It'll make sense. So, back post 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you can see where the stitches are facing you now, kind of, if you want to put it that way. So we're going to go front post for 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you see where it's starting with the basket look to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go off camera again because this is hard to do on camera. So at the end of this, you're going to land on a back post. So once you get to the back post, you're going to turn it and then start with the front post. So you're going to have 4 all the way up this way, and then 4 that'll be on the opposite, and you get it. So carrying on this for 4 continuous little pattern things. 4, 4, 4, 4. Like I said in the beginning, 4 is your magic number, and I will be back whenever I have completed 4 rounds. Okay, I am just ending the 4th row. I know I said round leaving off, but I meant row. You know what I mean. So 4, and then half double crochet into our chain space. And I know the beginning was very, very, very rocky on this, but yeah, that happens. You know how hard it is whenever you're first starting a project. Imagine trying to do it behind a camera. It's tough. So, chain 2. And I did my chain 2 too tight. You always want to do your end chain 2 loose, because it's hard trying to get it in there, which is where I messed up whenever I was first starting. So anyway, now you're going to see you have 4 front posts looking at it. So now you're going to do back post for 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you see how that's going to go. You're creating your basket weave. So the next row, whenever you get to turn it, then whenever your next row comes up, you're going to keep on that way until you have 4 rows up, and eventually your scarf is going to look just like that one. 4 and 4, and you can see how I switched 1, 2, 3, 4, and then opposite. And I'm going to go off camera now, finish up this scarf, and that's it. Just remember, 4 is still your magic number, and I'm going to go redo this where I started because I'm just not content with it. And I'll see y'all back in maybe a few hours, or maybe tomorrow because it's already getting late here. But I'll be back.